Okay, well, that was refreshing.
Ooh, I left my water.
Regulators getting to yes, regulators being part of the solution to flourishing technology and innovation. Where does that come from? Tell us a little bit about, I know you were a state commissioner, you were at a community bank, working in rural areas, working with smaller industries. I was sitting there thinking, is that where your outlook came from, or am I just making things up?
No, I think that's entirely accurate. I think when I was a banker in a small town, in a small community, small banks don't really offer, or didn't at that time in 2010, even offer things like e-statements. So having moved back to Kansas from London, where we had amazing access to really fast payments and excellent financial services that were quite innovative, I thought at the time. It was something like a continuing conversation to try to bring along the folks in my institution to try to recognize the importance of investing in things like mobile banking and things like that. And I think it took a while to recognize and value the implementation and the cost of those things. But during COVID, if they hadn't had mobile banking that we implemented back in 2014, it would have created a lot more challenges with serving customers and being a part of the community and the financial system there. So I recognize that when you're trying to provide services, there isn't always the service that you want off the shelf. So sometimes you have to work with people to be able to develop that technology that meets the needs that you're hoping to accomplish and to offer as a product. And we did that with our mobile banking service provider, which was really unique and maybe naive for a small bank and for me to engage in those kinds of activities. But it's critically important that you have the flexibility and the willingness of regulators to recognize that change has to happen. And we have to be willing to work with institutions and with technology providers in order to create an environment that can facilitate a safe and sound adoption and integration.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you led with what the consumers needed, right? And thank God that you did that before COVID, right? I mean, imagine what would COVID life would have been like without mobile banking. And in your remarks, you talked about understanding the technology, understanding the people, and then the why. And so I love that part of it. And I'm curious in your current role, and I know that the Fed does a lot of work in trying to do research and engage and educate. Where can the industry do better in those three pieces? The understanding, helping you all to understand the tech, understand the people, and understand the why.
I think what we need is opportunities for interaction on that technology level. And at one time in the prudential regulatory space, we did encourage that. And it was right around the same time that we introduced that interagency guidance on small dollar lending. So I think that there are opportunities to engage directly with industry to try to better understand the technologies and the benefits that they may provide, and then to try to also understand what risks might be presented and how they could be mitigated. But unless you're willing to have a conversation and bring people into the conversation that actually understand how the technology will interact with whatever it's laying on top of or interacting with, I don't think you can truly understand what you're trying to talk about. So we used to at the Fed, and I think the last one we had was in 2021, we had what we called office hours that were intended to create an environment where banks and fintechs could come in and talk to us about what they were interested in pursuing and how maybe they could identify ways and pathways into working with banks that were regulated by the Fed or by other prudential regulators at the time. We stopped doing that. In 2021, we did continue it into COVID, which I thought was really a fantastic, unique environment to have a conversation like that. But I think it is important that we find opportunities to continue